All right. Hi, I'm Mike, Mr. G, Gutekunst, and I'm answering some questions from Bell 2 in 2015. It's an AP Physics Bell. Okay, so the first one, oh man. How many girlfriends did you have before you met your wife? Well, girlfriends is a loose term. Let's see, official girlfriends, I'd say I dated one person fairly steadily before I met my wife. How many people did I just go on dates with at all? Like between 0 and 10 dates? 3 or 4? Something like that. So not a lot of people. My wife was really only the second person I dated seriously. And she might or might not like me mentioning this, but I was the first person she dated, like, period. So we were not particularly experienced daters. Second one, what was your best Saturday night story from college? Whew, Nelly. Let me think. Best Saturday night that I could share? Yeah, it's one I'll share with everybody anyway. Boy, I don't know if I have a best Saturday night story from college. I'll come back to that one because that's going to take some thinking. Not that I won't answer it, I just got to come back to it. Do you have any interesting pet peeves? Let's see. I apparently like blue shirts a lot. I don't know if that's a pet peeve or just a favorite thing. Let's see. I'm very particular about how tightly my shoes are tied. Maybe that's an odd pet peeve, I don't know. I don't have a huge amount. Yeah. If I'm going to make chocolate milk, it has to be a certain consistency. Like, it can't be too much chocolate, too much milk. It's got to be just right. And so when I buy milk here at the school, I typically buy 1 chocolate and 1 white. I drink half the white milk, and then I mix back and forth between white and chocolate, and it seems to be a good mix. So that would be an interesting, I guess, pet. I don't know if that's a pet peeve. Again, that's just an oddity. Things about people that drive me nuts, so that's an actual pet peeve. No, I don't think I have any of those. What does Mr. G equal? Oh, somebody else kind of already answered that for me, I think. They said M equals mass, but they said in grams. Clearly not kilograms. What are these people doing? R is radius in meters, I guess. And then G is gravitational constant. Yes, that's probably true. But they might want to know which gravitational constant.
Staff, today is recycling day. If you can please put your bins out in the hallway. Those floors, they'll be around to pick them up. Thank you.
Yeah, even though the G is capitalized, I'd go with the G being just rounded off to 10 meters per second squared because I like that acceleration more, and the number 10 is much more convenient. So, what is the one true religion? Oh, goodness. I don't know exactly what to say with that one. I don't believe in one true religion. I think, yeah, I don't, yeah, I don't think there is a true religion. And that's not to say that religions aren't true. I just don't think that there is one that everybody says is correct. I think it's kind of what you choose to believe with that one. What is your go-to jam song? Oh, man. So now it's into story time. So before I went on actually my first date with Mrs. G, there's a song out by the Digital Planets called Cool Like That. That is the song I played. Basically, it repeats the phrase "cool like that" a couple hundred times. I don't know why, but that always made me very mellow and fairly confident, which was a good thing to do before going on a date, because shockingly, after watching this video, I tended to make a fool of myself fairly often on dates. That was what I tended to play beforehand. And I still would listen to that song like before a race. It just kind of chills me out, gets me ready to go. So, what question would you like to answer? I would like to know what light is made of. I wish I understood how that worked. What is your spirit animal? I have no idea. What animal do I feel most connected with in the world? A squirrel. I don't know why. I just always felt the connection to squirrels. That seems so bizarre. What's your best physics pickup line and best dating advice? Let's see. Best physics pickup line. I always led with, I find you attractive and not just gravitationally. And that tended to go over not at all. It was absolutely horrible. And best dating advice, don't start with a pickup line would be the first one. Second, If you're going to start with a pickup line, don't start with a physics pickup line. Third, just be honest. Like, if you're interested in somebody, then go ahead and explain that or just tell them that you're interested, or be around them, but go ahead and be who you are. Because if you act like one person, then you actually start to act like yourself. That person didn't, if you want them to end up liking you, you're going to end up being yourself. You might as well start that way. So that'd be my advice. What do you plan on doing after teaching, if anything? I think about that a lot. It's changed a variety of times throughout my career. There was a time when I was like, man, the first couple years after I retired, I'd just find a teacher who was in my same spot but who like just had kids or something and whose life was really busy, and I would try to help them out and do work for them on the side. And the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do that. So then, I don't know, like sometimes I think I'd go back to school and just audit classes and I really still find engineering stuff really interesting, so I'd probably do that. I think I plan to do a triathlon or a couple triathlons afterwards. And then I plan to keep running. I plan to visit my kids a lot. My wife and I will probably go skydiving, I think. I'd like to get my snorkeling license if I don't already have it. Or, sorry, scuba diving license, stuff like that. And then I want to find some kind of way that I can like regularly work that will benefit people and use talents that I have. So I don't know what that's going to be yet, but I've got a whole bunch of possible volunteer things that I think are good. And that's kind of modeled after my folks. My folks both do that really well. Do you identify more with lowercase g or capital G? Definitely, kind of already answered, lowercase g. Definitely 10 meters per second squared kind of guy. What was your most memorable run? It's one of two. So I'm picking two. Probably the one that's number one. In 2010, I ran the Flying Pig Marathon, and I was tired and dying towards the end. My brother and I had planned to run it together. He got to the race late, and so we didn't take off together. And then, so he was always just going to find me during the race, but we never did. Well, it turned out that he just said, look, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which is what I was trying to do. So he just dropped out of the race at like mile 10 or 12, ran through Cincinnati till he found mile 20 or 21 where he knew I'd be hurting the most, jumped back in the race and ran through and talked me through. And I was so tired at that point, I couldn't do the math at all in my head to figure out what pace I was on or if I was going to qualify or not. So he was doing the math and pulled me through. And he thought he was annoying the bejeebers out of me, but I thought, no, this is awesome. And so I qualified that day, and just the fact that he was willing to go through that with me was awesome. So that was, and it was a big event. I mean, I had only qualified for Boston once, so that was good. And then second most, all right, I got to add two more in there, so it's hard to pick just one. I did a trail race a couple years ago where my shoe came off completely, like 0.2 of a mile into like a 5.5 mile race. And so it was all through the woods, on trails, across creeks, all kinds of stuff. And I just did it with only one shoe. And I thought, as I was doing it, I thought, this is the stupidest thing ever, but at the same time, I'm not going to quit this. So I did it, and I came in second, which was good, but I think I would have won with that if I had both shoes. So I was kind of angry, but it's okay. But I didn't quit. And then the third one, so there was a snowstorm here a couple years ago, and everybody's car was getting stuck, including mine. So I got my car unstuck, drove it back to the school, put on a pair of size 12 shoes. I wear size 8.5, 3 pairs of socks, and all the clothes I could find, and then I just ran home to Loveland. And all these cars were stuck, and I was just the only thing that was able to move, and I kind of went, yeah, take that. And it was very exciting. So a lot of running talk there. What's your happiest memory? That's really tough to choose. It's going to be very cliche, but take your pick between either of the times when either of my daughters were born. Just those moments are the greatest things ever. And then you can pick a whole bunch of other moments in their lives, like when you see them and they're genuinely happy. That whole collection of memories is my happiest memory because they're the greatest. And my wife would say the same thing. I don't think she feels left out by the fact that I didn't choose something with her because she was part of that same event. So, Batman or Superman? Man, that's a tough call. Most people are going to bet, and I think they're right. I'm going to go Batman with that one because, and I had to circle Batman right there, because Superman's, it's almost unfair. He's got so many powers. I mean, he is Superman, but he's got so many advantages. He should be able to stop everything. And yeah, he uses his mind some too, which I kind of like, but Batman like builds his own stuff and it's just really, really tough. So I'm going to go with Batman. What's the dumbest thing you've ever done? I gotta think about that one. That's a hard thing to choose from because I've done a lot of dumb things. I'll come back to that one. So I've got two that I gotta come back to. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? I think for now, because I haven't explored that many places, I'd go back to a place I've already been, but it's kind of boring. But I absolutely love Zion National Park, particularly the Narrows in Zion National Park. My wife and I hiked that a couple years ago. It was just incredible. So I would go back to Zion in a heartbeat. What fictional character do you most closely identify with? Oh, man. I should think about that one too. There's characters I'd like to identify with, and I think who that is would change at various points in my life and what kind of mood I'm in at the time. There's a character in the book Once a Runner who is the main character, and so I identify with him fairly often because he's gone through a lot of the same workouts, and he's gone through much tougher ones. But anybody who wants to consider themselves a runner identifies with that guy. I wish I identified, or I was closely identified with the main character in the book The Martian, whose name now I can't remember, but this is just one of those days. He gets left behind on Mars, the main character, and then he has to figure out a way to survive there. And so he just goes through thing after thing, but he never gives up, and I would like to be like that. And then there's also a book called A Separate Piece, and there's two characters in that. There's Phineas, who is this very kind of lighthearted, go-lucky, super athletic guy, and then there's his best friend, whose name is Gene. And so the bad part for me is I identify with both of those characters, as in Gene, who's jealous of his best friend and always thinks he's being held back, and Phineas, who sometimes is that person who just sees the world for what it is and enjoys it and sees the best in people all the time. And I think I fluctuate between those two people all the time. And I like to always think I'd be a Phineas, but I also think I'm actually a Gene. So I identify with both of those all the time. So I guess that's my big four characters. All right, back to the ones skipped. Best Saturday night story from college. Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't have too many legendary Saturday nights in college. A lot of them were spent studying, if we're telling the truth. Best, let's see. Yeah, I think it would range from a couple. My friends and I never went to dance clubs. We decided one night we were just going to go hit the whole scene. That was just hilarious because it was fun because all of us had never done that before. We were terrible dancers, and it only got worse as the evening went on. That was a fun evening that I think we all would look back on and laugh about. Let's see. The Salsa in the Pants story, which I'll share several times over. That was just a series of, again, I can't go through all the things we did, but a lot of times, like it started with us just saying to the girls who lived across the hall from us, walking into their rooms and saying, with a gigantic tub of salsa, ladies, there's a party in every jar, and now there's a party in our pants, and then we dumped the salsa down our pants in front of them. That was ridiculous and stupid, but that was pretty fun. I'm not going to say fun, it was just an experience, but it was harmless. And then we continued going on and doing all kinds of other bizarre things throughout the evening. Yeah, I mean, mostly, though, not too many crazy fun things. And then just bonding with your friends. Like, you can't even remember exactly what you did, but you did stupid things, and that's what brought you together. And then what's the dumbest thing you've ever done? The dumbest... Yeah, the salsa thing sounds... It's up there in the top list. Let's see. I can think of the dumbest thing I've ever said, but not the dumbest thing I've ever done. So the dumbest thing I've ever said, this will tell you a lot about me. This is probably bad to admit. I was having a conversation with my wife. We had been married for not too long, and she said, I want to sit down and talk. And I'd had a long week, and I was in a selfish mood. And so I'm like, yeah. So we sit down and we start talking, at which point she asked me a question, then she gave her answer, and then she just continuously talked and talked and talked for like 9 minutes. Not that I timed it, but I looked at my watch. This is, again, what an a-hole would do this. And then at the end of her talking through her side, where I listened some and done a terrible job listening otherwise, I said to her, next time we're having a conversation, we should make sure that we're having a conversation. Which was so insulting. The worst thing I've ever said to anyone in my entire life. And so I think that's the dumbest thing I've ever done, because that was so selfish, so heartless, and so cruel. It was just completely stupid. And it was to the person I was supposed to care the most about. So it's probably the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I think that's mostly it. So that would be the questions.